But most people look at supply and demand from your product perspective. So if I produce bottles of water, okay, I look at this from where is the greatest demand for what I can supply. So I'm looking for markets that want to buy what I have, and I'm looking to make modifications to what I have based upon what they need. Fair? The only problem is we live in a world right now to where the population math is dense, pulled together in the emerging markets, and we're still trying to take our Western thoughts and educated product. Even here coming from the GCC, we try to take Western-oriented thoughts and push them in, rather beginning to look at these markets and really understand what they are. I remember I guess it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was speaking at the Weir Healthcare. And I was sitting next to the chairman, and this whole conference was on growth. And I kept listening as they made these presentations, and they kept talking about, what does our market want? What does our market want? What does our market want? And I stopped and I looked at him and I said for a moment, why are you so obsessed with what the market wants? Why don't you go figure out what they need and give them something very different than what your competitors are? If you're actually interested in growing, maybe you should look at your equation differently. And he looks at me and he stops everything, walks up on the stage, and immediately starts talking about, we need to change our focus. And the reason that we have to change what growth is, because there's too many people on the earth today. If you look at the size of the world's population and the growing nature of it, it changes the whole picture. It changes the entire equation when we start looking at it. So what we have to do is we have to make a change in our definition of growth. We have to make a change in why we're addressing growth. What is driving our growth? It's not driven by our product. It's driven by something else. I grew up in an economy that believed that 3% growth was good. For years on end, China, okay, has been growing at 4 times the rate of the U.S. 4 times the rate of the U.S. And it's 3 times as big, actually slightly higher than that, almost 4 times as big. So here we are, we have a country much larger, growing at a rate much faster. And what we have to learn how to do is we need to be moving forward and reset what growth means for us. China today is absolutely obsessed with size. Matter of fact, if you pick up today's Financial Times, you will read an article talking about their obsession with size is coming down to, believe it or not, plastic surgery and changing the size of the nose and the eyes to become more competitive in the workforce. Absolutely obsessed with size, realizing that we need to change what the size and growth means. So we make a market shift, we make a growth shift. The next one we make is a speed shift. I remember hearing a chairman say recently, it's not fast enough. I don't know about you, but as a teenager, I would have loved anybody to say to me when I was driving a car, it's not fast enough. And as this chairman was saying it, they had already accomplished absolutely amazing, amazing feats. And a chairman from this region was saying, it's not fast enough. Saying we need to be going faster than we're currently going. We need to do more. There's a story told recently of President Assad from Syria. He walks into a hospital on a Thursday night. He looks at the hospital, and he realizes that this hospital is absolutely in horrific shape. Okay? Horrific shape. And he looks at it, and he calls over the administrator, and he walks up to the administrator, and he says, I need this to be fixed. This needs to become a world-class hospital. He came back to the hospital on Sunday. He pulled the administrator aside and he said, why is it not fixed? 3 days. 3 days to change the scope and the shape of a hospital. He expected to see results and returns. We have to realize that speed has to change.